I never thought an ordinary meeting could change my life. Ethan arrived in my small town in Iowa one autumn afternoon. A photographer passing through, he asked if he could take a few photos of me. Nothing special, just a simple smile in response to his request. But what struck me was the way he looked at me, as if I wasn't just an ordinary girl from Iowa, but someone unique. I gave him my time, feeling a bit shy, but he made me feel at ease. That's how it all started. He set up his camera in the park where I was walking. I didn't know how to pose, but he guided my movements gently, every gesture feeling natural under his instructions. Then he asked me to close my eyes, to relax. I did as he said. I didn't know I could feel so vulnerable in front of him, but it was like I was in a dream. After the shoot, Ethan invited me for coffee. He told me about his travels, his plans, and I felt an immediate connection between us. There was something in his gaze, a depth that touched me more than I wanted to admit. I was starting to get attached to him, without intending to. It was inexplicable, but I felt it was different from anything I had ever experienced before. It was a quiet evening. Ethan drove me home after dinner. He stopped in front of my door, and for a few seconds we just looked at each other, wordless. Then he gently stroked my cheek before placing his lips on mine. It was a soft kiss, but full of desire. My heart raced in my chest, and I knew everything had changed. After that kiss, I couldn't stop asking myself questions. Why me? Why now? Ethan seemed so confident, so captivating, but I didn't really understand what he wanted from me. Did he feel the same as I did? Or was this just another adventure in his life? Every time he looked at me, I felt like he saw beyond my appearance, but I also feared that he would leave me, like so many others before him. A few days later, he invited me to his gallery. He was showcasing his photos and wanted me to be there to see his work. I was nervous but curious to discover his world through his images. When I arrived, he was there, surrounded by his works, but as soon as he saw me, he left the crowd and came straight to me. He took my hand, a sincere smile on his face. "I've been waiting for you," he said. Over the weeks, our relationship became more intense. Our moments together were filled with desire, but also with a growing connection. Ethan was a mysterious man, but that's what fascinated me. Every gesture, every word made me vibrate. I couldn't stop thinking about him, wondering if we had a future together. The night we finally shared more than just kisses was a moment I would never forget. We were both in his apartment, surrounded by photographs of distant landscapes, but it was only him I could see. When our bodies joined, it was as if everything fell into place, as if we were made for each other. After that night, something changed between us. We were closer, more open, but the tension was rising too. There were times when I felt completely overwhelmed by the passion, and others where the fear of losing it all paralyzed me. And yet, I couldn't pull away from him. Every smile, every word he said made me doubt. Why me? Why did this relationship seem to be more than anything I had known before? I started to observe everything around him. Every woman who spoke to him, every glance he gave to someone else drove me mad. Why was I so jealous? Ethan had given me no concrete reason to justify it. But that fear of him leaving me, of him replacing me, gnawed at me. I felt like he could disappear as quickly as he had entered my life. One day during a photo shoot, Claire appeared. A woman with a gaze that could melt anyone. She had that kind of presence, that natural charisma. Ethan knew her well. I tried not to show my emotions, but I knew something was changing. Claire seemed close to him, and suddenly I found myself caught in this emotional triangle, not knowing where to turn. I felt like Ethan was spending more and more time with Claire. When he was with me, he was perfect, but as soon as she showed up, he became more distant. I had a knot in my stomach, this feeling that something was slipping away from me. Was I holding on to a mirage? Was I going crazy from the fear of losing him? One night, I couldn't stop myself from questioning him. "Ethan, are you still as sure of yourself?" He looked at me with an intensity that made me shiver. I've never been so sure of anything. But his answer wasn't enough. He had this look that I couldn't decipher. Why was he so enigmatic? Claire was always present, like a shadow that kept reminding me of her existence. She and Ethan shared moments that I couldn't understand. They got along so well, and I felt completely lost. How could I compete with that? Was there even a place for me in his life? Or was I just a distraction? Finally, during an evening when Claire was still there, everything exploded. The tension between the three of us was palpable. Ethan was calmer than ever. Claire gave me looks full of implications. And me, I was there, about to crack. But I needed to know the truth. Why all this? Why the two of them? Why me? I can no longer ignore what's happening between them. Ethan and Claire seem too close, too connected. It's unsettling. It's not just an impression. They have this thing, this invisible chemistry, and I'm here, watching them, lost in my own thoughts. When I look at Ethan, there's this familiarity, this trust we've built together. But whenever I glance at Claire, there's something about her that destabilizes me. She's beautiful, charismatic, but it's more than that. She has this look that pierces me, that makes me doubt myself. Do they share something deeper? Am I really the one he wants? Or am I just one of those steps in his life? I can't stop turning this question over and over in my head. Yet Ethan told me he loves me, that there's no one else for him. So why do I feel this strange sensation, as if something is slipping through my fingers? Claire. That name haunts me ever since I met her. I didn't expect to be this disturbed. Yesterday I saw her with Ethan, a little too close for my liking. Today I'm determined to talk about it. I don't know why, but I need to understand. If she's important to him, I need to know. I don't want to be the last to understand what's going on between them. I find her at this cafe, a quiet, almost intimate place. When she looks at me, I see in her eyes a strange lucidity, as if she already knows what I'm here for. "Morgan," she begins in a soft but firm voice. "You have questions, don't you?" I try not to tremble. She's right. Yes, I need to know. Is there something between you two? She looks at me for a long moment before responding, as if weighing each word. Ethan and I have a special connection, but he loves you, and I won't get between you two. That's not my role. I clench my fists under the table. It's like she's letting me into a game I didn't even know about. But there's also something reassuring in her words. Maybe it's not me who's messing everything up. Maybe I'm just too sensitive to what's going on around me. Days pass, and I can't stop replaying those conversations, those exchanged glances between Ethan and Claire. It's like a pressure is building inside me, a pressure I can no longer ignore. Ethan seems more distant, less present. And Claire, she's there, everywhere, in every corner of my mind. Tonight, I feel like it's the moment to confront Ethan, to tell him how I feel. I can't stay in uncertainty anymore. I need to know what he really thinks, what he really feels. Ethan, I say, my voice trembling. I feel like something has changed, and I need to understand. He looks at me, a hint of sadness in his eyes. Morgan, there's no one else. You're the one I want, but with Claire, it's different, I admit. She opened my eyes to certain things, but you're the one that matters. I close my eyes for a moment. His words hit me hard. I'm lost. Claire, Ethan, they're both here, in my life, and I don't know how to juggle with all of this. I want to believe his words, but something holds me back. It's like I'm not fully here. And then, Claire, she has this power to disturb everything, to question everything. Maybe I should just distance myself from all this. Maybe I'm not made for these complicated relationships. I can't take it anymore. That night, I decide to take the bull by the horns and confront Claire. This is the last time I let doubts take over. I want to know, once and for all, what she really thinks. I go to Ethan's, but this time it's Claire who's waiting for me in the living room. He's not there. Morgan, she says in a calm tone, you want to know what's going on, don't you? I nod, unable to form a response. I know you love him. I also know you think he loves you, but it's not that simple. There are things between us that can't be erased. I grit my teeth. Her words are like needles, but I can't help but feel a sort of respect for her. She's not lying to me. She's direct, even though it hurts. I'm not here to hurt you. She stares at me. I just want you to know it's not a game for Ethan, but he loves you. Don't forget that. I walk away, not really knowing what to think. What I heard is everything I feared, but it's also everything I needed to hear. I now have all the cards in my hands to make my decision. Yet something tells me this choice won't be easy. Am I ready to lose all of this for a love that now feels too complicated? Night falls, and I'm left alone with my thoughts. Every glance exchanged, every word spoken, every gesture between Ethan and Claire torments me. Ethan, the one who's always been there for me, the one who gave me a stability I'd never known. And Claire, this force that attracts me as much as it scares me. How do I choose? How do I know what's right? I could walk away, erase it all, forget it all. But deep down, I know I don't have the answer yet. Maybe I'll never have that answer. I'm losing my grip, but I've also found myself. I need to decide what I really want, what I want, without letting them influence me. But the truth is, I don't even know what I feel anymore.
We're two hearts in the dark, chasing whispers through the night. Secrets buried in the stars, hidden in the pale moonlight. Every glance feels like a spark, every word just out of reach. We're dancing close but standing still, on the edge of love's mystique. In the shadows